Hello, dear listeners. My name is Hanna Underkova. I am Head of IP at European Business and Technology Center. And together with me is Jürgen Greiner, CEO of Globalator. And we are here to discuss the latest initiative organized by the European Patent Office and the Licensing Executive Society International, known as LSI. So here with Jürgen, we will talk about the High Growth Technology Business Conference, which is to be held in November 2022. Jürgen, you have been part of this initiative for, I can say, a number of years because it kicked off in 2019. And you have been part of the, team development of the HTB conference concept. So what does make this conference stand out from the others? And why do you think this conference would be relevant to Indian audience?
Well, this conference, it actually, the whole concept of the conference really started in 2018. And there were a few pillars where we wanted to revolutionize somehow how conferences are done, especially in the IP space, which, intellectual property is not something that's very high on the agenda for many CEOs of high growth technology businesses around the world. So we thought, we got to make it more interesting for them and put more strategy, more business into that, and not just talk about patents, which are important, but you got to put it into the context of strategy. So the idea of the High Growth Technology Business Conference was really to focus on the business decision makers, focus on strategy, connect it with intellectual property, intellectual assets, and put IP professionals together with that. So with that, we also always had from the very beginning with a dual track system. We have a business track, we have an IP track, and we're keeping that until today. The second very important part is all about learning efficiency, right? It was all about having short and crisp sessions. So instead of, keynote lectures where you listen to somebody for 2 hours and they actually after 1.5 hours, they don't even know what they want to talk about anymore. We are actually condensing and say, if you have something to say, you can't say it in 15 to 20 minutes, you shouldn't say it, right? So we condense that in. There's a keynote lecture here is about 15 to 20 minutes, and then you have some Q&A at the end of this. And that focuses the speaker, on the key messages that have to be conveyed. It was very interesting. At the beginning, it was difficult for people to do that because they were used to just talk along, and then they missed some main parts. And the third important part of the HTB conference was always about take-away messages, take-home messages. So learnings that you can implement. So every session will always end with a take-home slide, with key messages that you as a business decision maker can actually implement within your company. And to your second part of the question, how is it relevant for businesses in India? Well, it's relevant for businesses around the world, for any high growth technology business decision maker around the world, and people in the IP profession. This is highly relevant because businesses are global, right? Especially in the high-tech space, there's no borders really in high-tech. You cover the world, so that's why it's relevant, definitely relevant also for the audience in India and the rest of the world.
That's very interesting, and I think you rightly say so that many times what we see that IP is not on the top of agenda, particularly of SMEs or companies of the smaller size who have limited budgets, and I think that makes them feel kind of maybe a little bit left out in the space, or they might feel that they don't have the interest. So I think initiatives like that are really important. And speaking of which, it's my understanding that this HTB conference is a part of the broader HTB initiatives. And actually, we have been part of the promotions for these initiatives also in the past. So could you briefly elaborate what are the other key parts of this HTB initiative?
Right. Well, first of all, the HTB initiative grew out of the High Growth Technology Business Conference, which is a collaboration between the European Patent Office and the Licensing Executive Society, as you said from the beginning. So when we started that in 2009, it was hugely successful. We said, well, we only have that once a year, so could we have additional things to actually help business decision makers and bring them together with IP professionals throughout the year? And then COVID hit, and then conference had to go virtual, and then we developed another concept which is called the HTB Forum, the High Growth Technology Business Forum, where we basically have a 1-hour session where, according to different business subjects, we present a case study, a live case study speaker, usually a CEO of some company around the world, that present what are their experience. Then we have a global panel in there. We have one representative from the US, we have one from Europe, we have one from Asia, that are giving an international global perspective on the topic. And then we finish it off with the principles, with a clear summary, key takeaway messages, take home messages, and then we have some Q&A sessions at the end. And we do that now 3 times a year. I'm actually hosting the Build to Sell forum, where we focus on businesses that are getting ready for an exit. And again, the forum has been hugely successful, and we will continue with 3 forums in 2022. Then the third also important element that we have then created is a whole community on LinkedIn around that. So we have now 1,700 followers, and the community is really all about, again, learnings for business decision makers and connecting them with IP professionals. So all these followers will always get updates, new information, new learnings, new key messages all the time, and it's all free.
Sounds very exciting, and I'm sure our listeners will really benefit from this knowledge sharing, and see the global, not only European perspective. You have this very interesting topic you're going to talk about in November: sustainable competitive advantage powered by operational excellence. Now we know that many, IPR topics might sound very kind of, up the air. But this particular topic, how do you relate to it in your day-to-day job?
Right. Well, first of all, operational excellence is a concept I really brought in as a keynote speaker at the first conference, when I kind of expanded the concept of intellectual assets from, we have technology protected by patents, trade secrets, you have the brand protected by trademarks. That, well, there's a third element to that, and it's operational excellence. It's what you do in a company. You cannot really protect it by a mechanism, by an authority. It's the management that's the protection mechanism. It's embedded in your culture. It's fueled by your culture. So it's a little bit more aloof under quotation marks, but it's a very important topic, especially when you build a business for an exit. And this is really the connection for me. I've spent most of my time these days sitting on boards of companies for many, many years, prepare them for an exit, go with them through the exit, work on the integration part. And operational excellence is one of the key parameters to build value within these companies. And there's a big misunderstanding of what operational excellence really is. And I talk to business decision makers, they say like, oh yeah, we have operational excellence on everything. Well, nobody has operational excellence on everything. You got to choose where you have operational excellence, and you cannot confuse operational capabilities with operational excellence. Operational excellence means you can do something better than others in the world. It's kind of, it becomes world class, and you kind of select one area. And a good example, for example, would be Amazon. When it started out in the late 90s, they built the operational excellence all about being able to deliver products to their customers in the US on time. So they were the only company for example, in 98, in 99, that could deliver the Christmas orders on time. And this operational excellence is really what helped Amazon to make it through the dot-com bubble. And there's countless examples for smaller companies to actually what kind of operational excellence they should choose, and how that operational excellence helps them have a successful exit, possibly secure the future of their employees, which is also very important for business owners. So that's where the connection comes, and that's why I thought diving deeper into operational excellence and how it actually drives a sustainable competitive advantage, and not only for businesses that want to sell, which most companies that have venture capital will have to sell, but also for businesses that want to just continue as a family business. Operational excellence is also relevant. And I will be diving into that much deeper and probably write an article on that as well again.
Lovely. Thank you. Thanks a lot for sharing these insights and also these snapshots of what our participants or what the listeners can hear in the November events. And I think it will be definitely very, informative for them, and encourages them to, work on our IPR implementation here in India a little bit more. So thank you a lot for coming and spending this time with us, and we will of course very much looking forward to attend the event in November. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for having me, and I hope I see a lot of you out there at the conference. Thank you.